Hey guys, Cage Cloud here again with my brief for day 2 of E3. This is mostly just going to be the Nintendo press conference and some things that Nintendo announced afterwards, because most everybody else had announced a lot of their big stuff by this point. One of the things I want to point out is Nintendo had a multiplayer themed intro, which I think is telling as to what exactly that they're going to be trying to do with the Switch. They're trying to prove that the Switch can do esports, and that's bolstered by the fact that they got Rocket League. And local play on Rocket League, which is not an esports thing, but that's really cool, as well as cross-network play. Those are both big gets for Nintendo. Now, outside of multiplayer stuff, they didn't show Smash, for everyone, sorry, they didn't. I don't know when they plan on having Smash. It could be a surprise announcement at some point. It could be a surprise direct. Nintendo does that throughout the year. They didn't announce that many games. It was only like a 25-minute conference. But yeah, let's get on to the other games. So, they showed off Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Looks big, looks awesome, looks interesting. Excited for that. They showed off Kirby. It looks fun, but I tend to prefer like Kirby's Dream Land style, where it's mostly Kirby by himself, not Kirby absorbing enemies and then making them part of his team, which is basically what he was doing in this. But it still looks fun. They announced that they're bringing a Pokemon RPG, like a full-scale Pokemon RPG, to the Nintendo Switch. That's awesome. Really love that. I do hope that they get a shared world Pokemon RPG at some point. I think it's coming, but I don't know if it'll be coming on the Switch early in its life or late in its life, but I think that's coming. Metroid Prime 4 was announced. Huge news. I've been waiting for Metroid Prime forever. Love that. And despite those two announcements, those weren't the biggest announcements of Nintendo's day yesterday. They also announced Yoshi. That's just its only name. It's coming out for the Switch. It's like a papercraft title. That looked really cool. Looks like it'll have co-op, which is nice, and you kind of switch side to side in the environment. But they really didn't show off what that was going to be used for, so who knows. Fire Emblem Warriors look pretty much as expected. It's basically Dynasty Warriors with Fire Emblem characters. They showed off the Zelda DLC. The Trial of the Sword looks awesome. Absolutely awesome. Didn't expect it to be something like that big. That was really cool. They showed off the Master Mode. That looks really cool. It looks somewhat... it doesn't look like super, super difficult, but it still looks a lot more difficult than the regular game. Which in itself is already pretty difficult. So, I mean, like, it's up from there, but this isn't, like, Dark Souls level difficult. It doesn't look like that to me. The Champions Ballad DLC, that's going to be the second DLC. That looks really cool. My bet is this is going to be a prequel to the story of Breath of the Wild, and that's really what I wanted to see them cover, so I'm glad that that's kind of what it looks like it's going to. They also announced that the 4 champions are getting amiibos. That's really cool. Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey looks freaking amazing. You could play as the dinosaur in it. Like, Mario throws his hat and he can control the enemies. He can control, like, you know, he can glide along wires, all that kind of stuff. It looks really, really cool. I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to see that. There's 2D pixel murals, like, you know, like classic 8-bit 2D stuff and murals. Like, you could just jump into them and jump out into 2D and out to 3D. It looks pretty sweet. And the biggest news of the day, in my opinion, the thing I've been waiting for so long, for 6-7 years now, basically since the 3DS was announced, since I got my hands on a 3DS. A 2D Metroid is coming to the 3DS. It's a remake of Metroid 2, which is an interesting choice. I was going to think they were going to do a remake at Super Metroid, but hey, I'll take a remake of Metroid 2, called Metroid Samus Returns. Looks awesome. Looks beautiful. Can't wait. Nintendo kind of blew it out of the water yesterday. They did a really good job. I wish that they had a bit more, but, you know, what they showed was really awesome. I wish they showed some gameplay from Metroid Prime and Pokemon, since they said that both are coming out. Well, they said Metroid Prime 4 is coming out next year, and they said Pokemon will take at least a year, so probably that one's 2019. I think Metroid Prime 4 will be 2019 as well. But anywho, yeah, that's what Nintendo had to show off. It was pretty sweet, and peace.